And the big question tonight, how will the Republican candidates take on frontrunner Donald Trump?
You're up against a guy who's even more flamboyant than you.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll do fine.
You know him?
We've been friends for 13 years. I know him well.
Okay, so you know Donald Trump well.
Yes, sir.
However, he is doing almost what you do, appealing to the populist vote of the party. He's doing what you do. You're both flamboyant. You're both straight talkers. How are you going to overcome him?
I'm not going to worry about overcoming him, Bill.
Are you going to go after him if he says something dopey?
Listen, I'm going to be myself.
And the On the Record political panel joins us, the Daily Beast, Betsy Woodruff, and the Hill's Bob Cusack. Bob, tomorrow night, everyone, I think Chris Wallace has said he's co-moderating with Brett Baird that this is going to be the Donald Trump show, or they're trying not to have it. What's going to happen?
He's at center stage. I think most of the candidates are going to go after Donald Trump. The news is Donald Trump. The headlines the next day will be about Donald Trump. What they'll say, we don't know. But they have to go after him. I mean, Greta, he's a frontrunner.
You know what, though? I don't know. Does anyone dare go after Donald Trump? Because you go after Donald Trump, he nukes you. I mean, look at Lindsey Graham had his phone number put on, and Governor Perry was said that they only got glasses to look smarter. I mean, he hits hard.
But they have to go after him. He's the front runner, eye on the prize. If these guys want to get in the news, they're going to have to somehow be connected to Trump. I guarantee you right now, every single news story that's written about this debate will include the name Trump. Not all these stories will include the name Rand Paul. They might not all include the name Chris Christie. They might not include any number of these guys. These guys have to go head-to-head with him just if they want to get any sort of attention at all.
For some reason, I think he's just going to lap this up. I don't think he's going to respond like, I don't think he's going to be, I think he's going to be quite measured tomorrow night for some reason. I think he's just going to lap it up as everyone talks about him.
I think you're right. I think he's going to try to be measured. They're going to try to touch his buttons. Over the last several days, in various interviews, he's dialed it down a little bit. He's also lowered expectations. That's smart. That's what candidates should do. The one candidate I'm not sure is going to go after him very hard is Jeb Bush. I'm very interested to see if Jeb Bush will take him on, and there'll be a showdown between the two of them. Because Jeb Bush thinks, okay, I'm the tortoise. I'm going to outlast everybody. Does he go after him in this first debate? Not sure.
Okay, I read a story today which I couldn't stop reading. It said that President Bill Clinton had called Donald Trump and urged him to run. That was in The Hill, I think, which had taken it from the Washington Post.
It was a heck of a report. And look, on the one hand, there's a lot of questions here. For instance, did Bill Clinton predict that if Trump ran, he'd throw the Republican field into chaos? On the other hand, it's not actually a huge shock. Hillary Clinton had a front row seat at Trump's wedding in 2005. These families have known each other. The fact that they talk about their ambitions, while unusual and eye-catching, not stunning.
I'd just like to know, Bob, if that phone call was made to Donald Trump before Donald Trump said that Secretary Clinton was the worst Secretary of State we've ever had, or was it made after?
I tell you, there's a lot of conspiracy theories about how the Clintons could have tried to get Trump in the race because that's going to help Hillary Clinton. I think Donald Trump makes his own decisions, but a very unusual call, and it's going to. Listen, it could be mentioned tomorrow night.
Why, Betsy, aren't the GOP women? Where are they on Carly Fiorina? I don't see them rallying around her much.
To be honest, most Republican voters aren't rallying around Carly Fiorina. You don't hear criticism. You don't hear people upset about her. But she hasn't generated the kind of excitement or even the kind of controversy other Republicans have.
So maybe tomorrow night's a big night for her.
Maybe she can drop some bombs. And look, Republican voters don't vote along identity lines the way Democratic primary voters often do. They're not looking for someone from the same ethnicity, someone from the same gender. They're much more interested in ideology and policy areas. So it's harder for Carly.
And speaking of ideology, Bob, can you explain to me, Bernie Sanders is an independent, registered independent, and he's a socialist.
Yes.
How in the world are the Democrats letting him run as a Democrat? I mean, who's not putting him in check?
It's a very good question. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the chairwoman of the DNC, has said, okay, we welcome him to this contest, but he's going to have to change his registration. Now, he always caucuses in the Senate with the Democrats, but he's been an independent all his life.
And a socialist.
And a socialist, and he's proud of it. And there are some legal questions that he'll try to change his party affiliation, and someone could say, wait a minute, you're not a Democrat.
Anyway, it's never dull. Anyway, panel, thank you. Tomorrow night's big night here on Fox News. And Fox News' Carl Cameron is in Cleveland as preparations are underway. Carl, what's the buzz tonight, one day before the two debates?
Hi, Greta. Well, the candidates are beginning to arrive here in Cleveland. Rick Santorum and Marco Rubio both arriving here tonight, and the rest of the field will be coming at various times tomorrow. Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker is going to be a little bit later than the rest of the crowd because he's got to open up the Wisconsin State Fair tomorrow in his home state, something he's done as long as he's been governor. Of course, everybody's wondering what's going to happen. We'll have the first debate at 5 o'clock in the afternoon with the 7 candidates who did not make the top 10, and then the big primetime debate at 9 o'clock. And all your conversation there in the previous segment, Donald Trump has said himself that he wants it to be a civil debate, that he doesn't want to take the first punch. He calls himself a counterpuncher throughout this campaign and says that each time he said something nasty about another candidate, it's because he felt provoked and they'd said something disparaging about him. But he has called the rest of the field incompetent and losers and said that the politicians in Washington and elsewhere in the country aren't getting the job done, so that you need somebody new like him. But Trump needs to do two things, really. Show that he can really plausibly fill the office of president. It's not so much always a comparison against the people against the stage for the Republican primary. There's going to be a Democratic nominee, but there's also the historic nature of the office. And he has to look like he can actually fill the suit and the seat at the desk. And in addition to that, the way to do it really is to show a real knowledgeability of policy. And so far, when he's been asked questions, he usually talks about what a great job he'll do, but not how. And that's something that I think you're going to see him have to answer for. Beyond that, he's the front runner, so he's got the most to lose. That means some folks at the other end have a lot to gain by making a lot of noise. Jeb Bush has to watch out because he'll be standing literally next to Mr. Trump. And Scott Walker, who's slipped in the polls recently, has to prove to conservatives that he really shares their policy convictions and he's not evolving on any anymore. And that his winning record in Wisconsin can translate beyond the Midwest. We're here in Ohio, he's from Wisconsin. How he does in New Hampshire and South Carolina, where the first two primaries are, two very different regions of the country. Tomorrow night's an opportunity for him to introduce them. Greta?
Carl, thank you. And make no mistake about it, Ohio is key. It's a 2016 battleground state, and in just a few hours, Ohio does play host to these two big debates. But one big question, as Republicans look towards 2016, will they be able to win over new voters? The chairman of the Cuyahoga County Republican Party, the most populous county in Ohio, with the most registered Republicans, Rob Frost joins us. Rob, nice to talk to you. And how are you going to get those new voters? Because last time around, President Obama beat Governor Mitt Romney in your state.
Right, Greta. Well, thank you for having me on. And you're exactly right. I am the chairman in a city of Cleveland that has 53% African-American population. I know the challenges that we face, and we address that by engaging with non-traditional Republicans, by getting out one of the things we're doing right now, registering people to vote, engaging on issues about economic opportunity and education. We're doing it, and we see the results. We see the results just even last year, November, our governor, John Kasich, running for re-election, carried Cuyahoga County. Yep. Carried Democrat-dominated Cuyahoga County by cruising to re-election last year. We can do it. We can do that and deliver that vote again in 2016.
Well, that must be everyone in Ohio then must look with great pride, at least the Republicans, as Governor John Kasich takes the stage tomorrow night in the second debate. Has he been able to? I looked at the unemployment rates in Cleveland. Very high for African Americans, but my data is about 2 years old. I mean, has he been able to win across the state African Americans as well as lower that African American unemployment rate?
He has been able to. He's been across the board, creating jobs, getting people back to work, taking us from a budget deficit to a budget surplus while cutting taxes. That's universal. That's opportunity for everybody. But particularly what he's been doing is attending to the needs of the city of Cleveland, and we've been working with him in that. And we saw with all that Governor Kasich was able to do, for example, on the Cleveland Schools Transformation Plan, taking the time, being up here. Now, we've got a dynamic change in education here in Cleveland that's taking hold, and that's thanks to his leadership. So we're very pleased he's made it to the debate stage, and we think he's going to have some strong ideas to share with the country tomorrow night.
All right, we have 30 seconds left. What about the gay population? Is there a big tent in the Republican Party in Ohio for the gay population?
The Republican Party here in Cuyahoga County, we know that we win by addition, not by subtraction. When the gay games came to Cleveland last summer, we were there, a Cuyahoga County Republican Party with a welcome tent saying, welcome to Cleveland. We are adding people to this party. We're adding numbers by voter registration. We're adding by engaging and making new friends and saying, if you believe in the ideals of the Republican Party, of opportunity for all, of a strong national defense, personal responsibility and lower taxes, our candidate, our nominee next year is going to be the candidate for you.
Rob, thank you very much. All eyes on your state, Ohio, and especially tomorrow night. Thank you, Rob.
Greta, thanks for having me on.